For example, we work very hard, think too hard, we are right-sided. To compensate for it, we take, say, sleeping pills or maybe drinks or something like that just to compensate. We can't bear it too much on the right. But that doesn't give you help because you swing from one end to another. So in the center, you have to move. And for that, there is a special mechanism within us. As I told you yesterday, you have to have a very scientific outlook. Is to keep your mind open. If it works out, you have to accept as honest people. We say we are skeptical, all right, but we can keep ourselves open about it, that after all, we have not reached the absolute truth. So if you have to reach that truth, what should happen to us? Maybe this is more known to the people in India, maybe because of their discoveries in the inner world, but has to be known even in the West, because as I told you yesterday, that the tree which has grown so big has to know its roots. Otherwise, there's always a problem which we do not know how to face. So as you have been told about the roots now, about the left side and the right side, the two sympathetic nervous system, the left and the right, both of them act separately, which I think doctors do not know about. About diabetes now. It's too much talking on me, imbalance. About diabetes, somebody asked me today, how does he get diabetes? By thinking. In India, if you go to a village, they'll ask you to take some tea and you just can't take it because the sugar is so much that the spoon has to stand at right angle. And none of them get diabetes, none of them. But our bureaucrats in India, all of them get it. Also the politicians. The reason is they think too much, they plan too much. They are very right-sided. Now, which center does the right side work is the second center, which we call as Swadhisthana. This second center, which is the Swadhisthana, is, as you can see very clearly, provides for the right side activity. It is connected upward, passes through the optic chiasma, goes to the left side, creating our ego. Like we built this big hall, so believe that we have done a great job. But actually something that was dead, that we have put together, that's how the hall is built, from dead to dead. We have done no living work so far. But that creates an imaginary feeling that we have done this, we have done that. And that's how this balloon of ego starts growing within us on one side. Now when this Swadhisthana is working, it has got a very important work to do, is to replace the brain cells in our head, which we are using for thinking, the grey cells. It has to do that. And because of this pressure of a thinker on that center, it neglects the other functions that it has to do of looking after your liver, your pancreas, your spleen, and your kidneys, and partly your digestive system. As a result, all these organs go into problems. One of them is the pancreas, which causes what we call diabetes. Liver goes out of order. When liver goes out of order, then the heat rises in your body. From liver it rises higher, goes upward and catches on to the right heart center, as we call it, which gives you a disease called asthma. Asthma can be easily cured if you can look after your overactive liver. It becomes overactive because it has very limited energy and it has to do its job of expelling poison from your body into the bloodstream. But it has no energy to do that, so it becomes overactive. And such a person cannot also release all the heat of the body into the bloodstream, so the heat starts passing over. So much so that it can reach heart and a person can get a massive heart attack. In young age, supposing some people who are playing tennis and smoking, all out to destroy themselves in a way, I should say, or some very strenuous game with that smoking and drinking and pressurizing themselves, get a very fatal heart attack, a massive heart attack, because they have gone into a complete out of balance situation. Now, at the same time, the most dangerous thing that can happen to us because of this center is that we get a horrible disease called blood cancer. Blood cancer comes to us because of the spleen getting out of order or imbalance. The spleen is a speedometer in us, or as we can say it's a rhythm keeper. It keeps our rhythm of life. But we are all the time out of rhythm. We sleep at any time, get up at any time, and any kind of emergency that comes in, this organ has to supply red blood corpuscles, RBCs, for the emergencies. Any emergency rises. For example, you are eating your food, and then suddenly you have to run. Then what happens? That you get pain here in the stomach, this side, because your spleen has started producing RBCs quickly. But we are all the time in tensions. All the time we are very hectic. We get up in the morning, first thing we do, horrible thing, is to read newspapers. In the newspaper they never give good news. Always has to be something sensational, challenging your spleen. Then the spleen, poor thing, starts excreting or creating more RBCs. And when that happens, the person who is doing all these things does not realize that already he has tortured this poor spleen. Again he goes into another hectic life. For example, he may just jump into his car, he has to go to his office, then he sees the jam and then he gets very upset because he gets late in the office, then the boss shouts at him, something like that. All the time there's an emergency, a time-bound life, and all the time people are running up and down in a very hectic manner. And this hectic manner makes this poor spleen really crazy. Doesn't understand what's the matter with this gentleman. Why is he behaving like this? Then the vulnerability is established. And anything that happens from the left side, it just triggers the cancer. I'll show you how it works out. This is one center, say, from the left side and the right side, both of them combine to form the real center. Now, if you are working too hard on the right side, like that, it starts moving, taking the energy, exhausting the energy, it is like this. And anything happens to the left, it just goes out. Now, it's broken. In the sense, the relationship with the whole is lost. So it gets on its own. And it starts working on its own. We call it a malignant cell. Means it starts growing in such a way that there is no relationship with other cells. But if the nose starts rising, growing, then this place all gets covered, this place all gets covered, your ear can get covered, and the rest of the cells are still growing at the same rate. This malignancy is because of imbalance in us. Even ordinary cancer is caused by that. So, what have we to do? How are we to overcome these things? Of course, there are doctors and things. Most of them are looking after most of the people. But those who are seeking the truth can be cured by themselves because their Kundalini will rise. When it rises, it nourishes that center. It brings back the broken, like this, nourishes them. She integrates all the centers, so your thinking, your heart, your stomach, your liver, all integrated. You do not repent for anything. You get an integrated personality. You get a very healthy personality. And such a person automatically looks very healthy and very peaceful. Because the centers that are within us, which are enlightened, are the centers which are responsible for different functions in our body. So the first one I have told you about, the second one, and the first one I told you about yesterday, and the next one to that is the center which is very important, was called as a navel center, Nabhi. This is the one which looks after the solar plexus within us. So physically we understand this, but spiritually this is a very important center, because physically, of course, you know the problems of the solar plexuses, but there is another big problem we have, and that is surrounding it is the area which we call in Sahaja Yoga as void, which is to be crossed. Like Moses had to make a bridge, sort of a thing it is. You have to make a bridge. And this bridging comes when this part gets enlightened. Now this part is made of 10 valencies within us. Human beings have got 10 valencies. These 10 valencies are like 10 commandments, we can say. But they are within us, not without. Once they are enlightened, then we rise in our own valencies, means we rise in our own nature as a human being. So we become very righteous people. Like all saints are righteous. They don't do anything wrong. They don't cheat. They don't tell lies. They don't take money. They don't grab you. They don't torture you. They are very loving, dynamic, fearless people. All these qualities suddenly manifest in a personality which receives their self-realization. Thus we create a society of wonderful people. Then we come to another center which we call as the center of the mother, or mana. But actually it is the heart center. Heart center in Sahaja Yoga we have 3 sides. One is the left is the heart, right heart, and the center heart. Now this is the center under the sternum bone, and all the antibodies are created in the sternum bone till you are 12 years of age. And then they go to various areas in the body and wait for a signal. This is a remote signal which comes from the sternum bone. Now those people who suffer from insecurities, especially women, if they suffer from some insecurities from their husbands, or if their motherhood is challenged, then they develop a very horrible cancer of the breast. If they are insecure from their husbands who are not loyal to them, or some sort of a problem is there, then the women may develop this breast cancer. Because of this center being absolutely dislocated due to insecurities. Whenever we see anything facing us which is dangerous, immediately our sternum bone starts vibrating. Those vibrations are remotely caught by the antibodies and they get ready to fight the diseases. But when the connection is lost and the cells become malignant, antibodies also get tired fighting it. So when the Kundalini passes through this center gets again nourished and one can achieve a great sense of security within himself. Very great sense of security. He feels absolutely secure. Then the same Kundalini rises up to the center we call as Vishuddhi. This center is the one which looks after 16 things. You can say ear, nose, tongue, teeth, everything. There are 16 things it lives. It has got 16 petals. Face, eyes, everything it looks after. But it can also go out of order when we go into imbalances about it. As a result, a person loses many things. But when you are nourished by it, by the Kundalini, then what happens? That you just become a witness. You somehow or other get out of the crazy world and you start seeing the whole thing like a drama. Like you are seeing some drama, supposing, and then you see Napoleon. Then you think you are also Napoleon and you start really going with him. But when the drama is over, then suddenly you realize, oh, I'm not Napoleon, I am something else. In the same way, when we are involved in this mad world, then we are upset. Say, we are standing in the water, we are afraid of getting drowned. The water rises, falls down, again, there's another wave, comes and goes down. But supposing somehow you get onto a boat, then you can watch that water. And if you become an expert swimmer, you can jump in and save others also. The same thing happens, that you just start seeing the whole thing like a drama. Your problem you see as a drama. Now, because you are not in that problem, you can solve your problem very easily. It's very simple to solve that problem, because you are not in it. If you are involved in it, you are going into a turmoil. But if you are out of it, you know what is the solution, and it can be solved very easily. Now the center that we call as the Agya Chakra, which is placed between the optic chiasma, is very important. On one side, it looks after the pituitary, and the another side, it looks after the pineal body. Now the pituitary is responsible for controlling this Mr. Ego, and on the other side we have got superego, which is created by our conditionings. We have so many conditionings. We have conditionings of the country we are born in, we have conditionings in the family we are born in, our parents, and then we have conditionings in the religion we are born in, and all kinds of conditionings we have. All these conditionings make the other balloon. And both of them form a crust on our head. That's how our fontanelle bone area, which was a soft bone, becomes a hard bone. But when the Kundalini rises and passes through this center, it sucks in. That's how our karma, so-called, whatever action or wrong things we have done or the wrong conditionings we have, everything gets sucked in. And it opens like a petal. The limbic area that is between opens and the Kundalini pierces through your fontanelle bone area, and you start feeling the cool breeze out of your head. You are surprised how it happens. And then you can feel it all around you, this cool breeze, which is the all-pervading power. As a result that you become one with this. All the time the energy is flowing through you, and though you may go into imbalances a little bit, but you come to balance in no time. This is as far as the physical side is concerned. Mentally, you feel perfectly all right, but above all, you develop a new dimension in your awareness, which we call as collective consciousness. Collective consciousness, about which Jung has said lots of things. Collective consciousness is where you can feel the centers of others on your fingertips, and also you can feel your own centers. And if you know how to correct yours and the of others, you can easily manage the whole thing. So this collective consciousness is the new awareness, a new dimension which one has to achieve. This is the new birth, or we say the second birth, as we call it. In Sanskrit language, it's called as a person who is a realized soul is called as Dvijaha, means born twice. And a bird is also called Dvijaha, because first it's an egg and then it is born as a bird, a free bird. In the same way, a person who is a realized soul has a second birth. As they say, you have to be born again. It happens. But it is actualization, it is not just a certificate. Anybody can take a certificate, I am this, I am that. That makes no difference. Because you must have the powers of what you are. If you are a human being, you have human powers. In the same way, if you become a realized soul, superhuman being, then you must have the powers of a superhuman being. If you don't have these powers, it is no use giving a false certificate like that. Same as I told you about religion when somebody asked me the question that why are they fighting in the name of religion? Because it's man-made. Saints never fight. They never fight. They love and they understand each other and they know the absolute. So when your spirit, which is in your heart, has the seat here and it gets connected with your attention, then the light of the spirit makes you an enlightened person, and in that light you know what is right and what is wrong, what is good for you, what is constructive and what is destructive. The power of spirit is that, of course, it's a collective being within us, no doubt. Also, we say that we are part and parcel of the whole, but we are not. Once you become collectively conscious, then you are only part and parcel of the whole. Then you become a source of joy. Spirit is the source of joy. You become joyous. You are full of joy. Joy is not double-faced. It's not like happiness and unhappiness. It's a permanent state of enjoyment. And you know the absolute truth. On your fingertips you can know. Even in the Quran, as I told you, in the Quran it is said that your hands will speak at the time of your resurrection and they will give witness against you. So this is the time of your judgment, last judgment, when your Kundalini is going to tell you where you stand. And once you correct yourself, you enter into the kingdom of God. This has to happen. It's nothing artificial about it. It's all living process of a living energy which works, and you cannot pay for it. You cannot pay for it. This is the only stand, if there is anything. So may God bless you all. Yesterday we spent a lot of time asking questions and answering. I don't mind a little bit of that, but not too much. Yesterday we had too many questions and answers. So if you could ask me some questions is all right, but should be relevant, because you know I am not here to get anything out of you. It's just to tell you what you have, to give you what is yours. It all happens because of your energy. I have nothing to do with it in a way. Like one candle which is enlightened can enlighten another light.
Could you tell something about the nadis?
Nadis. You didn't tell them. He told me he has already talked to you. The left one is known as the Ida Nadi, which caters to the left side. The right one as the Pingala Nadi, which caters to the right side. The central one is known as the Sushumna Nadi. Also there are many other details about it, which once you come to Subha Yoga you'll know a lot of. It's too much really, because I must have given at least 3,000 to 4,000 lectures in English language itself, and they are all on the tape. You can always listen to them. Knowledge is like a vast ocean, and the source of knowledge is your spirit. So once you are realized, you will be able to understand everything